So I come from two entrepreneurs. Life in our family was always business. We talked about business, and that was what connected us. We sacrificed a lot. I started working in the family business from the age of 12. I managed in that business for several years, a lot of really great initiatives. And I finally left the business in about 2019 when I started my full academic career. So that's essentially my background. What does that mean about me? Like, why did I talk about my family, my parents, before I even talked about myself? I did that because in our family, there's a few things, a few sort of key messages that we have been taught. One key message that my dad taught me is he would say, don't ever work for anybody. You can work for somebody for as long as you need to work for them, so that you can build something for yourself and for your family to create legacy, right? I also saw that the types of businesses that they did, as great as they were in terms of connecting the community, they were not the types of businesses that I could easily do on the side. So my mom was able to be a nurse and run this beauty supply business. But when my dad was ready to retire, there were no other engineers in the family, right? So he just had to shut it down, even though the business was profitable, because he had other ventures that he wanted to pursue. So I thought, well, what kind of business do I really want to be engaged in that I could allow to build capacity within my family, skills and opportunities, and for the wider community. So this whole idea of passive income is something that is near and dear to me, because we all have our day jobs, many of us, and we do the 9 to 5, and we've studied for many years. But in this day and age, sometimes it's just not enough, right? And so the passive income philosophy of this brand is really important to me. In addition, if I were to get into the nitty gritty of the research in regards to the challenges that families who are neurodivergent and who have neurodivergent children, obviously you're going to be more predisposed to have them, that they face in terms of getting diagnosed, in terms of receiving continuous treatment, in terms of some of the discrimination and inequities that they face within the workforce and within society at large. These all sort of impact the socioeconomic status of people within our space. And so it's important that we create passive income opportunities within our own community, but that also we don't exclude ourselves from the same opportunities that others are pursuing, because it is an important cause. So I just wanted to sort of mention that. In terms of my research, which is what I intend to bring to this project, research and development, the work that I do focuses on e-prescribing, focuses on virtual care, it focuses on virtual reality. Okay, I'm going to be careful about trying not to go too deep into what I do. But today I was just reading an article in BC. They've just decriminalized illicit drug use. And I was thinking about that from the perspective of my e-prescribing project, which is really focusing on how we can use e-prescribing for the safer management of opioid prescribing, for greater accountability, for greater transparency, to prevent risks and harms, essentially safety of the patient. We want to prevent hospitalizations and deaths. And I thought, well, that's innovative. Okay, that's really innovative to really think about what are the addictions that are sort of driving the epidemic. Are we victimizing these communities, and are we being inhumane by creating policies that criminalize them for a mental health and addictions challenges that may not be within their control? And then also it started making me think about the broader social determinants, some of the structural challenges within our society, some of the structural aspects of our society that contribute to somebody's propensity to take illicit drugs. In my own province right now, we are having the highest rate of HIV cases ever. This is higher than what we saw in the 80s ever. This is post-pandemic where people are extremely stressed. We're in the middle of a gas crisis. Inflation is up. Families, there's a lot of poverty. Education has been disrupted. Healthcare is at its weakest point. It's at its breaking point, in fact. And we know that when we think about healthcare, most of our publicly funded dollars, and many of you are from the US, but most of our publicly funded dollars go toward acute care. Even your insurance providers, most of it goes towards acute care. Very little social care, very little behavioral care, very little true public health at the community level that really looks at holistic options, unless you have the money to be able to afford it. So how can we start to re-envision what it means to be neurodivergent? This is just an example of re-envisioning what it means to have an addiction, but what about re-envisioning what it means to be neurodivergent? How about re-envisioning what it means to think differently than others, to think outside of the box, have another perspective, to be a critical thinker in terms of being able to, for example, hyperfocus, to be able to think about many different connecting ideas in ways that others don't, right? Have special talents to remind us that we are all human and we all are different and that we should truly embrace those differences, okay? So for me, I made that connection, and maybe it's because I have ADHD. I made the connection between the opioid crisis in BC, and not just the opioid crisis, just the illicit drug use crisis, the impacts of that on the population, and how does that now, innovative policy, innovative change, and now how can we create change? I want to just sort of highlight the importance of this community on Discord. Very little research is available to support. There's a lot of research on sort of online forums for mental health and depression, and and a lot of different apps. And there are pros and cons, and not every, for example, app out there is good for you. There's a lot of issues in terms of the collection of your information. There's a lot of issues in terms of what I call sort of digitalization and technocratic sort of encroachment on health services. But what about if we think about creating innovations that are driven by what the community wants and needs, by evaluating what the community wants and needs, and it can be completely in an anonymous way, it doesn't have to be identifying. So really developing patient or client-centered tools that truly address the many gaps that we're seeing in our health and social care system. Truly trying to bridge healthcare, social care, education, and spiritual health. These are all critically important to somebody who is neurodivergent, right? So nobody's creating that. What we have is a sort of fragmented, reductionist approach to supporting people. We have folks who write self-help books and make multiple millions of dollars. We have, psychiatry services that are completely overwhelmed. Very hard to get a psychiatrist, let alone find one that speaks to your existence. For example, if I were to look for a psychiatrist who might be Black or female or neurodivergent like myself, that's like finding a needle in a haystack, right? So how can we connect this community to more resources? How can we develop eventually and design better resources because we are the creators? How can we generate passive income so that we can start to mitigate some of the harms within our society of sort of the issues when it relates to things as simple as pay equity for the neurodivergent community. There's a lot of income inequality issues. There's a lot of hiring biases. These are all things that result in a disadvantage for our community. So this is my perspective. This is what I would like to do. But I think the most important thing is going to be the community. Who are we? How do we want to define ourselves? What resources do we need? What is important to us? What are our experiences? How does it feel to walk in the world in our shoes? These are things that we can start to, I think, document, but more importantly, use that to create change within our society. So I'll stop here because I don't know if there's anything that I missed, but I'll open up the floor to anyone, and Mistress Money, if there's anything that you think that I missed, feel free to ask me a targeted question.
Nothing that you missed. I mean, I absolutely love all of the things that you talked about, right? Your commitment, your work ethic. Coming from the Caribbean myself, I understand. It's that grind. It's what we know. It's what we raised our children to do. And I love that quote from your father, right? You do the job that you need to, but why work for them when you can work for yourself? You said that to me when you and I had that private conversation, and it really didn't dawn on me how much the BIPOC community have that ability to flinch away from seeking mental health because you don't look like me, right? As a parent, I just accepted it. I accepted it, but it's a different world now. And if we want to make that change, we need to have a space that encourages these different voices, these different approach, the holistic approach as well. You and I were talking about that. And I was so looking forward to this, to just hear you, because when we get together, it's all these voices, right? But just to hear you and hear your vision, and to hear a clear understanding and a path of that resource base, that's what I'm excited about, because every time it's one of the things that I'm always asked, hey, when are those resources going to be available? And that's what we've been working on quietly in the background. So thank you for making that vision so much clearer. Thank you for sharing your journey here. And I'm just I am holding on for the ride, man. I am holding on.
The evidence is clear, right? When we think about intersectionality, right? It really is important to have representation in education, in healthcare. Think about the impact of a space like this where we can create, I would say, strength-based or asset-based models where when we talk about being neurodivergent, it's not just in these negative ways in which society tends to frame these issues. That might result in better engagement of neurodivergent children who could then become educators and healthcare providers and business persons, right? Business decision makers. We want to engage them by first providing supportive environments. And it's not just about the children. Like, I have ADHD. Pretty sure my son has ADHD. He sought therapy. And, I just wanted to make sure I went through the process first to make sure that there were not going to be any harms. But he's next up. We need to get him diagnosed as well. So if you have any of these disorders, or you're simply an ally, there's a lot that you can learn. And last night I played I streamed a video, and I'm going to try to stream more of these videos. It was so informative. It was on ODD. And I'm going to stream it again because there were not really people around. So if you see me in the general chat voice channel and you see something streaming, you're welcome to just jump in and watch. I will be muted much of the time because my kids might be I might be trying to round them up to bed and sort of listening in, but I'll just keep it streaming. I have lots of resources at my disposal, right? And so you can learn while we get the resource library up. There's lots of resources that I'm willing to share, so I'd be happy to share a lot of those videos. Are there any questions, comments, any clarity about the plans that SeeME has for the future?
Let's talk about the book.
Talk about the book.
Yeah, talk about the book. Talk about the
Well,
book because you
the thing
touched
about the
on.
book is, I think it's really important to sort of, I talked about representation, right? And so I almost think that Yomi should speak about the book, but I know because I've been part of a lot of these conversations that we're really being selective in making sure that we highlight the different types of these neuro divergent conditions to make sure that we highlight them in a very positive way, that we have role models in terms of how the teachers are interacting and supporting these children, that we really do see their superpowers. But Yomi, did you want to speak about the book while everyone's here?
I don't know if she can unmute. I just sent her a message. But the reason why I brought up the book wasn't so much to get the insight into the book. I thought it was an interesting that you talked about representation and we talked about education and why we chose the children's book to be the flagship of SeeME, right? The idea behind SeeME and how we all master one point or another. Um, and I know for me, and I talk about this practically every single AMA, the trauma that can be inflicted going through an educational system that does not understand your needs. Um, and therefore, that classification, Mr. Snowman also talked about his experience at the last one, and what that diagnosis meant for him, and that long process, and how fortunate they were in getting the resources that they got. Um, I want kids to understand, um, and our social media manager, Ms. D, she posted it. She posted this video on our Twitter where it said, I let's talk about disability, but it's the spelling. It's not DIS, it's THIS. Let's talk about this ability. And I thought that was so smartly said because that's what the book really is talking about, right? Let's talk about this ability, which is why they're called the neuro heroes, right? The unseen heroes, because that's what we are. Contributions in math, in science, in technology, in medicine have come from a lot of neurodivergent individuals. But we don't get that credit and we don't get that representation in the movies and on TV shows. We're always these quirky individuals, right? Um, everyday people. Or your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, your aunts, your cousins, your best friend, right? Even your frenemy. That's who we are. And it matters what we say. It matters what we do. And to be able to be a part of a project that not only through profit can help change that narrative, but can impact lives, right? Because that's what it is, impact lives, whether we're impacting lives with the passive income on a financial level or impacting lives by providing access. And access is what we lack in these hard hit communities where it's not that easy. I moved to a really good neighborhood and it was still a 6 month waiting list for a child psychiatrist. 6 month waiting list, right? So to be part of a project that's going to actively keep updating a database, that you call it that resource library, to have someone with your educational background, technical knowledge, and know-how that we are able to at least offer in some small part some relief to that kind of community is amazing, in my personal opinion, amazing.
Absolutely. Access is a material resource. It's a material resource. And we have been socially deprived in many respects. And I don't want to say I don't want to go down the route of being a victim whatsoever. We have the abilities, and we should be empowered because we have contributed to a lot of the greatest innovations in this world. And so I'm excited about how we can showcase our community, the work that our community does, how we can engage our community in more and more ways. I think the art contest sort of highlighted just how talented everyone is, right? And I think also the intersections with mental health are critically important. I didn't say here, but I have my older sibling, and I did check with her to see if she was okay. She has schizophrenia, okay, and I know. So I'm just gonna move because my lights tend to. This is an environmentally friendly office. They switch off when they don't think you're here. So my older sister, the person who looked over me my entire life, very busy parents in terms of their business engagements. So she was always the person who made sure that I was taken care of, walking me to and from school, always very responsible, and we've had great memories, and we continue to do so. But she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and she nearly died. What happened is, we were seeing her less and less. She was really evasive, and she has paranoid schizophrenia. So she might have heard different things, or seen different things, or made associations between things that maybe you and I might not on a regular basis, or maybe some of us will. And what happened was she had started putting rubber bands around her waist, and she kept twisting those rubber bands around her waist over days. And by the time we found her, she nearly died. The doctor said that had we not sort of discovered that she was in crisis at that moment, give her a day or two, and we wouldn't have had her. Okay, it has been a 10-year journey to be able to help her to be in a place where now she's working. She's had a job for over a year. She's contributing to society. She's doing very well. In terms of the treatment that we had to seek for her, it took a very long time. If you're talking about wait lists in the U.S., let's talk about wait lists in Canada. Okay. The traumatic experiences sometimes of being admitted to hospital, because that's the only place where you can get a specialist. Those are traumas that we had to try to walk her through, and we were quite lucky, because at least the hospital where my mother works is the same organization where my sister would be admitted. So the nurses were very kind to her, and she could get regular updates. And we could check on her quite often. Not everybody has those connections, right? I was really happy to see her when I went back, because I had been away for 2.5 years. And I was really happy to just see how she's been able to create a life that she can be proud of. She has savings, a lot of savings, good for her. She works, like, she goes to work every day. There was at one point she was working 6 days a week. Do you understand how much of a victory that is when you're not medicated, you don't have the right medication, you don't have the right supports, and you can't even get out of bed? You are so depressed you can't physically get out of bed. So now you're going to work, taking the bus on your own. You have substantial savings. You have you're building into a pension. All of these things that she's now able to do. You don't understand what that means to me. It means everything, because this is the greatest thing I could have ever asked for. Knowing where she had come from, knowing that she nearly died, knowing the trauma of the admissions to acute care facilities, knowing the confusion that she experienced when all of this was happening to her, knowing that there's just a lot. There was a lot. A lot of money, of course, was spent as well. And so if we had had some of the supports that we're trying to deliver here, I think we would have been better positioned. I think if we had the community, we would have felt that we're not the only ones going through this. I think if we would have had the visibility and the positive orientation towards this condition, and it was very hard. Like, how do I put this? It was very hard for my mother to be very public about what was happening to my sister, because in our community, mental health, um, in all its shapes and forms, in the Caribbean community, in many respects, um, there's a lot of myths and misconceptions. Is it a spiritual issue? Is it something that you can catch? You know, I'm not trying to make our community sound like we're not informed. It's just we have um, very different notions of mental illness, very different notions of what it means to be different in that respect. So I don't know if anyone else is here and has had that experience from a cultural perspective, but I know that was very difficult for my family. Not for me personally, um, but I'm of a different generation. So any comments about that?
I think it's
Yeah.
most. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Oh yeah. I was
Yeah,
just
go
saying.
ahead. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
How you doing? How's everyone?
Hey, Glyph.
Yeah, man. Yeah, what you're saying definitely strikes a chord with me. Um, because yeah, it was definitely hard to get the right kind of treatment for me as far as like with my schizophrenia because um first of all I was too paranoid to go by myself. You know what I'm saying? So I started out to go by myself to the hospital to get help. But on the way there, I got so paranoid, I ended up going to the airport. You know? So it didn't quite work out. So um, yeah, man, this is like, and then when you build up to the point where you need to get help, it's too late. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta kind of you're supposed to catch it way before it gets to the point where you need help. But it happens like that sometimes for some people. It's really sad, and unfortunately, a lot of people in that situation don't have anyone checking in on them. You know what I'm saying, or like making sure that they're good. You know what I'm saying, because that helps. Someone to be like, "How you doing?" Every now and then. You know what I'm saying, just if you're not doing it yourself, really. Well, I'm glad that she was able to get help. You guys helped, got her some help, and she was able to turn it around and get a job and start working. Like that's similar to what's going on with me too. So that was really uplifting at the same time. So
Yeah, I'm so excited for her, and thank you, Glyph. That's I would hope through this community, although we do focus on many of the neurodivergent, the main conditions. I would hope that we can talk about. I think schizophrenia is one that deserves some attention. There's a great CBC series, and I've been trying to find it because I was listening to it on the radio a few years back, and it's so empowering. When we start to think about actually the level of creativity that many people. My sister is also she used to be in the music industry, so she's very creative herself, right? So yeah. Any other thoughts or comments? It's I've spoken for 40 minutes. I'm not going to keep speaking. I just wanted to share that sort of that story that's close to me in terms of feeling very helpless in terms of health system responses, the structures that are in place, and our family really having to step up to support my sister until she was able to not just walk but run, and she's running. So, any other any other thoughts?
like you said about the creative, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna keep talking too long, but but I would just want to add on to that because it's like just the thoughts I was having while it happened to me. It was like rapid firing of creativity, making various scenarios and various, saying things seem real to me. You know what I'm saying? Like the scenarios were just like, coming up out of nowhere, out of the subconscious, just creating themselves moment to moment. Just like I guess like when you're having a dream, you know what I'm saying? Like your mind creates all that. You know what I mean? So it's like been an awakened dream almost. So yeah, that's interesting, really interesting. Like
So it's
out of
like
my
being in a waking dream.
uh,
And thank you, Glyph, for infusing so much positivity in your art. I mean, our team, and Mistress Money has said this, our team looked up every single condition that we could think of on Google, and we went through the art. A lot of the art is dark. It's very dark. And that's not to discount that there is not fear, that
right,
that there are not some of these more negative forces that happen. But that's not who you are, right?
right,
That's not who you
right.
are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it don't determine who you are. Like you determine who you are. You're like whoever you are, you're gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, like if you're a positive person and you have this issue, more than likely, you're not gonna end up doing nothing negative. You know what I'm saying? You'll be scared, but you're not gonna like attack nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like it is the person you are. It's just like when people like become addicted to drugs. You know what I'm saying? They become more of the personality that they already are. You know what I'm saying? They don't become like something new. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a harmless person, you're gonna be harmless no matter what. If you're a harmful person, then you're gonna be like that kind of person. Reach that level of degradation or whatever. So
Mhm.
I mean that's my theory, but maybe I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? Maybe sometimes it's different for some people. You know what I'm saying? But I know personally, I've always steered towards the positive. I realize I read a lot of self help and all that stuff. That's why a lot of times when I was younger, and when this happened when I was 24, I was diagnosed with it. It was just like such a blow. I'm just like, man, how? Like, what did I do wrong? Like why me? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was really a thing that made me like kind of try to examine myself and try to realize like, am I being punished? Did I do something wrong? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what did I do? Like, like was I drugged? Like, I'm just like trying to figure it out. But at the same time, like, once I was able to stabilize and I was on medication and I was back to like some remnants of like my reality, it was just like trying to figure out like how to stay positive and like not let myself go negative, even though like I'm being constantly bombarded by this new thing, you know what I'm saying? That's really annoying to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the time, it was like fresh in my mind. It was like all the time. Like, even though I was on medication, I was still like hearing stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it wouldn't be so bad. But it was like certain points, and like it was just annoying. I had to go from living your life always with solidarity. You by yourself, you don't hear nothing. To going to having to like adjust to having someone or something, whatever, talking to you all the time about something. You're just like, what? Like scary.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you evolve or you adapt, and it is what it is. At some point, you know.
Absolutely. No, I mean, similar experience here. Acceptance was hard. Acceptance not just for my sister, but acceptance for some of the members of my family, even
Yeah,
with the health background, right? And just finding the right supports, um, finding the right providers.
right,
You'd mentioned Glyph, for example, at a very early stage, you were getting very high doses, and that impacted your ability to be creative. And similar experience, I mean, some of the doses with the original medication that was being received for her were, it was making her catatonic. It's like, where is she?
right,
That's not a solution. We want her, right? Um,
right.
hmm,
Because like, all right, I was in the hospital for like 3 weeks, and like they had me on the high doses of medication or whatever. Like, I didn't notice any difference in myself until when I got out. Like when I got out, I had tics. You know what I'm saying? Like mentally, I was just kind of like being weird. You know what I mean? I was kind of like hesitant to say my words. And then like my mom actually was the one that like broke me out of that. She was just like, man, what? She was like, stop doing that. You don't have to do that. It's all right. You just relax and focus and find yourself. Don't don't become, you know what I'm saying, like a stereotype of what, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, so like my mind was just kind of like, you know, I'm this now. I gotta be. It was just weird, man. And then I was like, you're right, you know. So I just kind of like, you know, I kind of like slowed myself down and just, you know, snap myself out of that, like, you know, habitual, like, you know, what I'm saying, strange mentality, you know, and like, I'm glad that she didn't like help me, like, let me perpetuate that, and she didn't like, you know, play into that. You know what I mean? But that was,
Yeah.
you know, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes people might, but at the same time, like, I don't know, man. It's just so weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't know how different people react to different things, and like if they know you enough to say the right things to you, that's gonna help you be strong in that situation. You know what I'm saying? But luckily, my mom had some kind of understanding of who I am. It was able to help me in that point. You know, that was really, you know, that was really helpful for me back then. So
Mhm. And you see, that's this type of supportive community you want to create. And and you know, maybe in a future, if you did come out with some of those ticks, you wouldn't have to feel like you had to hide them. You know what I mean? Like a community that, yeah, that's truly open and inclusive. You wouldn't have to hide that. And maybe you could have
right,
focused on another part of your journey that you wanted to um, work on.
that is
We do
true.
have a from Kritos that had. Let me go back to it. He sent me a specific question. He wants to know for investors, how will they make the passive income from minting SeeME NFTs? So there's actually two parts to that. If you mint this legacy collection, and we call it a legacy collection because we've got some surprises in store for the next couple of drops, right? This legacy collection entitles you to passive income from any of the SeeME branded products. And that, of course, percentages is not set as of yet, but you also can earn passive income by referring someone to mint this legacy collection. So if you refer someone and they mint one of these NFTs when we drop on the 23rd and the 24th, you get 10% of the mint cost. So we had some numbers that we were playing around with originally structured for all of the things we wanted. We had started with a mint price of 600. The market has had some issues, and we were able to save some costs because that was also an issue for us. A starting mint price of being so high, but we wanted to prove value and we wanted to prove utility for some of the resources that we're building out because we wanted to be so inclusive. We were able to save a lot, right? So we cut down the mint price. It's 420 for the mint. So for every person that you refer and they actually mint, you get $42. So you can earn passive income that way. If you didn't have enough to purchase a mint yourself, right, you can refer people and make enough to mint yourself. We're also doing free mint passes, so we're giving it away for our active community members as well on our Twitter, on our socials. Just staying active in the community is a way to earn passive income as well. Hope that answers your question, Cryptos.
And Rochelle, you're going to be posting that information about that that's
Referral link?
yeah,
Yes, we
yeah.
were working out the final. I gotta tell you, I'm geek. I'm gonna get my geek on, guys. I'm so excited on how this worked out because one of the things that we want to be very cognizant of is saying something and then lacking the follow through. So we want to make sure that you're able to see this, like it's visual, it's on the blockchain. And we finally got the necessary tools to do that. So not only are you seeing the number of people that you referred, you're going to see the number of people you've converted. And because our NFT contract is it's on the blockchain, you can't hide. You're going to see that because to fill out the referral part, you have to enter your Polygon wallet, and then the person you referred have to put in their Polygon wallet, and that's traceable on the blockchain, right? And you see that information as well. So there will be no discrepancy. Hey, I told my friend they went to mint. How come I didn't get paid? Blockchain tells all. So if it's on the blockchain, you're getting paid for it.
Now, did you want to speak about the book, the passive income from some of the in real life assets?
I definitely do want to talk about the book, and I'm going to let me kind of talk about the synopsis of the book, which nobody knows our NFT marketplace is live yet. It's right, but yeah, it's looking pretty cool. It's looking pretty cool. So we've got some information on the book, and if you twist my arm, which is not hard at all, because I love to spill the beans, maybe we could get Yomi to tease us with like maybe the first chapter. Yeah, Yomi.
It would have been nice for me to know that I had to read it
I
because
told
I'm
you,
kind of
right?
mobile. So
Oh,
I
you're
cannot
mobile.
I
Okay.
cannot read it, but I will tell you that the book it has three characters, and each of the characters has a not a disability but an ability. And what they do is they use their ability. They have ADHD, you have dyslexia, and you also have autism. And what they do is they use their abilities to help their classmates solve just everyday problems. So for them, it's not really what society has been taught to consider a disability, but it's an ability. They simply are individuals who see things differently. They learn differently. And with that being said, they're able to teach others and show others a different way of conquering everyday issues. So the fact that, these conditions have been labeled um, a disability, it goes to show that just because a known few don't have what a large number does have, that they have controlled it and made it so that those special powers are seen as a disability, which is not true. Here you are taught to embrace everyone, and you are taught to live and function within a community, and what someone lacks, it becomes a place where they can utilize their strengths, and where someone else is weak, then you can also build. So it's a complementary and a supplementary relationship. It's not a relationship that isolates. So the part the book itself just shows you how children can actually function and not be considered as being disabled, because they're not. They just function differently. We all function differently. We all are different. So you can't sit here and shun or try to isolate someone who doesn't learn or see things from the same perspective as you. All perspectives should be embraced, and that's what the Neuro Heroes is supposed to teach you.
Excellent. And from a passive income perspective, um, Mistress Money, just to get back to
Um,
the core of the question.
yeah, from a passive income. So the book itself, because we own it, it's entirely the property of the Neuro Collective. In the copyright, in the art, in the storyline, every part about it, um, they can afford, and then laying the foundations for where it goes, having the proper business account on Amazon, already employing a sales agent, a book sales agent, to make sure that there are platforms that are ready to accept our manuscript and our book proposal when we're ready to go with it. We're structuring it in a way for not only as an e-read, as an audiobook, and as a hardcover book as well. So the illustrations in the book is going to have value, which at some point we're going to put on our NFT marketplace. Having the book signed by those that contributed to the book as well. We're going to have a limit series of those that are going to go back to some of our lucky holders as well. And then the percentage of each book sale. So remember, the book is structured as an ebook read, right? It's structured as an audiobook, and it's structured as a hardcover book. So each of those sales avenue, as each item sells, a percentage of those sales come back to that lucky 2,100 NFT holders of the SeeME. Um, and we have some other products in development as we roll that out. So we're talking about the SeeME line signature collection, right? We're talking about the SeeME That particular one, the jewelry, we haven't really announced to a lot of people. There's some alpha for you. Yeah, we saw the mock-up. We're still waiting on the. I think she wanted some sapphires that she was waiting on for the master jeweler to get the actual mock-up. If we get one in time, if we actually get the first one out that we can preview on Monday, I will tell you all. I will rig the competition in every way possible so I win the first one, right? I will rig it. I will rig it. I will rig it. I know I'm terrible. I will rig it, but it's really cool. So I know
Actually,
Ramona.
we won't let her do that. Just
Yes, she's not gonna let me win it.
No,
That's a,
I will cut off her internet service. I will
you
cut off her
go.
electricity. Um, Community, this is Cole Yates speaking, and I give my word that Mistress Money will have no part in that. But I will also add,
I win. Why? Why? It's
I will
pretty
also
cool.
add this. This is a long hold. So are you going to make your 420 back on Mint Day? Maybe if you refer to enough people.
Right.
But this is also building something for long term. And I appreciate everyone wanting to make passive income. I'll also throw this in there. When you mint one of our NFTs, you also you receive a gifting NFT as well. So if you're doing this just for the passive income or just because you love the artwork, but you can't take advantage of some of the resources that we are going to be building out, the virtual care, the metaverse resources, all of that, you can't take advantage of those because you may not be neurodivergent, you may not be dealing with a mental health condition. You can give that gifting NFT to someone you know that can take advantage of those resources, of that virtual care. So you'll be growing passive income. You'll also be helping someone and giving them a gift and something they may not have been able to acquire on their own. So that's just my 2 cents.
absolutely. And, you know, from my perspective, I look at not just the passive income, but the cost savings that we're gonna work that I'm working on. My research student, which I'm excited about, who's going to start in September. Well, first order of business is our resource library, we're starting on. We've already started on. I'm excited to have her because she's a psychologist, but also she delivers virtual care, so she also provides virtual care. She's a provider, and she's got a background in basically MIT. So I'm really excited to work with her because one of the things that we want to look at is not just the technology side, which I do bring, but the policy in terms of how do we deliver a model of care on the blockchain, right? We want to make sure we're doing our due diligence, that everything that we're doing is HIPAA compliant, or whichever jurisdiction that you're from, if you're in Europe, GDPR compliant. We want to make sure that when we design our virtual care within the metaverse, that we're actually designing care that is cheaper, more accessible, more efficient, that will be able to link you to more providers. So if you really do want a provider who looks like you or who can share similar experience, which the evidence does suggest results in better health outcomes, then we want to be able to provide that. And we're living in a society which we consider to be a shared, in many respects, a shared economy. So we believe that there will be demand for that. And if you didn't know, the healthcare industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Okay, that's why Google is in it. That's why TELUS is in it. That's why all the major technocratic companies are in it, and we're getting in it on the ground floor, right? So I'm really excited about the virtual care that I'm going to be working on. I'm a business head first and foremost. I grew up in the family business from the age of 12, but I'm a researcher, and I will build out that R&D in a way that will, at the end of the day, create something very innovative and unique for our community. And it starts with that foundation of having an effective model. So it's not just about the technology. I was having a conversation with someone about blockchain in healthcare, where this person, an expert, was essentially saying, there's not enough people doing it. So yeah, being first is important, but doing it right is also important. So that's why we're researching as we go along the way. But, it's not in our roadmap. And that's because I'll tell you why. We could take all of our money that we get from this mint and develop a metaverse. We could do that, but why? What we should be doing instead is integrating with the research model and getting grants where we can build innovative tools that we can then provide for our community and possibly license out to others, which would have great impact for you because you would be getting it at you'd be getting the innovation by virtue of being part of that community. So what I'm doing is I'm really thinking about what grants we should be targeting to do this very innovative thing that hasn't been done elsewhere, so that I'm not using the money that we could be using for other things, but I'm bringing more additional funds to this project. That's why it's not in our roadmap. It's dependent on the success of those grants, if that makes sense. Mr. Shimani?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of why we've structured both the light paper, the roadmap. The pitch deck is going to be available in a couple of hours. And here's the Discord, right? And you notice that the Discord slowly but surely is filling, becoming more active. One of the things that this team really wanted to focus on was laying the foundation. It wasn't hype, right? We weren't writing the hype. It's not about, oh, come on, let's do this quick thing. We understood that comprehensively we had to have a solid foundation for each part of the utility that exists within SeeME and then the Neuro collective, the company, right? It had to stand solid on what we were building. And so we needed to have the proper website that's scalable, that can handle the database. We had to have the NFT marketplace that's accessible with integration for the affiliate marketing program that we wanted to roll out, right? There were lots of independent pieces that needed to be put together so that when compiled, the overall project was one of long term. It's not a flash in a can. It's not a cash grab. It's not, oh, let's get this trend going and see where that takes us. This is a comprehensive approach of advancing a social movement through profit. Because the minute you say charity, you might have some people that might be on board, right? But they immediately think cash grab in the cryptocurrency world, right? And that's not what we wanted to be. We wanted to be able to provide comprehensive resources that people can utilize in real life. We wanted to provide the true utility of why an NFT even exists on the blockchain. How do you bridge those things? How do you marry the ideology of the social movement of SeeME with passive income, proving the true utility of an NFT and resources all together? Well, that's what we are. That's what the Neuro Collective does. These are the people that sat down and were able to think outside the box and find the bridge that can do all of that together. And this is what the team has quietly been doing and working on constantly in the background. And now we're ready to really show the world to see us, right? That's what you're going to see the build out from here. Now you get your hype. Now you get your hype.
Actually, can you talk about that hype? Because marketing, can you talk about that? What do you want to talk about in terms of marketing?
Well, see, that's the thing. Everybody's looking at the market. We're anticipating, where is Bitcoin going to land? Where is the mothership going to take us next, right? And we decided to just come out with a mint day because irregardless of what happens with Bitcoin, we've built a foundation. We've married the NFT to a real world product that no matter what happens on the blockchain, this is a necessary part of everyday life. If you don't support the NFT, you'll buy the book, right? Because it speaks to you or it speaks to someone that's close to you. And that's income that's coming in to support the project as well. Marketing in this space has become extremely expensive because they want to grab that quick audience. But what happens with that quick audience? They buy in, they sell, they move on, right? What we're looking to do is build a network, build a foundation that, and I'm all for profit too, but you have to think of it this way. So if you're buying in with the understanding that it's going to take time for that passive income to roll in. Now, here's the difference. That passive income Regardless of what the market is doing, it means you're getting something back on a daily reward, right? Whether that daily reward is airdropped on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, the fact is that you're holding it and getting something back. When everything else is going down, you're going up, because we're not contingent on what happens in cryptocurrency to pay that passive income. Just about every other project is, right? It's dependent on a relationship on the blockchain to provide you that passive income. So if your passive income is BNB and BNB is down, your passive income is down with no avenue to bring in new investors. Well, we've spent the time and the framework to make sure that that book is not only going to be available in multiple languages, in multiple regions, in multiple states, in multiple schools. This is the framework that we're building. This is not, oh, well, that just sounds so cool, they'll do a book. It's way more than that. It's way more than that. So now you're seeing the end result of where that's going to go, and we're not depending on the cryptocurrency marketing to get us there. There's the comprehensive approach with affiliate marketing, which has proven to be successful time and time again for every corporation in America. It is a multi-billion-dollar marketing strategy. We spend the time and the money to build our own affiliate marketing program that's going to give us the edge that no other cryptocurrency can at this point, right? So you're not going to see the 10,000 for an AMA with Gollum's Gem. We don't need it. I'll pay you, my community, to share the word rather than pay them, because that's what passive income is, right? And that's what we're about.
Absolutely. So anyone from the community, that's not a part of our team, do you have any questions? Comments?
I have a comment. I love the idea of the book. I'm very excited for it to come out. I can't wait. I'm gonna pre-order it. I'm jacked up for it. I think it's a great idea. It's a great concept. I think breaking that barrier of those negative labels and turning it into something that's kind of like, just because I'm different doesn't necessarily mean that I have limitations. It just means that A, I might learn differently, and B, the avenues for me to find my potential isn't going to be the same as everybody else. So
100%.
you guys this is an awesome group, awesome initiative, and just kudos to everybody that's making this happen.
Thank you so much. Could you imagine if when we were kids, these were in our local libraries, or this book was, at your Scholastic Book Fair? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to influence the next generation to be able to look at themselves different. I think we're going to have a major impact as far as the book is concerned. And, Mistress, could you speak to, we're talking about a book, and the reason why I want to create a foundation is because guess what? If you do it right, it doesn't just have to be one book.
Yeah, it's actually a book
Right?
series. But I just wanted to point this out. So, imitation is the best compliment, right? So we haven't even, what you guys saw is just my test NFTs. Literally just checking the technicals of my API. And we're being copied. Take a look at our general chat. Right? So we're setting trends before we even really go to launch and do any kind of marketing. So there is a narrative there that talks about the art too. Well, why isn't it 3D? Why isn't it metaverse ready? Why is it any of these things? And here's something else. We have an open reveal. When you get your opportunity and you're whitelisted, you're going to go to our NFT marketplace. You're going to be able to mint any one of those SeeME characters that most appeal to you. And why is that important? We've talked about this in previous AMAs, right? It is your ability to identify with what that character speaks to you about, because that's what we're talking about, right? Are you looking and seeing beyond the programming that we've all been given, right? We're looking to see and identify, I feel like that awkward stance, right? That sweater, I'm a Walmart shopper. That's my clothing style, right? The sweatshirt, the baggy pants, that's me. Standing awkwardly in a room full of people because publicly, being out in public, I'm awkward. I'm anxiety ridden. I could talk to you on voice all day long. So that's who I'm looking to men, because I can identify with that expression, and I can identify with that emotion that it triggers in me. So you're going to have that opportunity to do that. The coloring, there was from the background to the type of clothing to the facial expressions, all of these things were carefully crafted, and layered in a way to appeal to someone, because we all want to be seen as human beings. We want to be more than what we may appear: skin tone, culture, upbringing, country. We want to be seen for more than those things. So it's going to be something that, looking at it as a cohesive whole, you're going to find something that you want, right? You're going to find something that you want to mend. That's really important to us. I'm flattered right now. I'm flattered that we already have projects that are trying to copy that art, because unbeknownst to them, this is just phase one, right? This is literally just phase one, and nobody has asked us yet, Ramona, why only 2100? Why only 2100?
Don't share too much. Don't share too
I'm
much.
not sharing. I'm not going to say
Okay,
it.
or I'll have to
I'm
have a
just
call.
saying that nobody has asked why only 2100.
Yeah, just
right?
say that. Just stop there.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Why only 2100? Everything about this team, everything that we've put out so far, from taking our time to making sure we're providing a really strong foundation with our NFT marketplace, and that's a big key. We're not on OpenSea. We're on our own NFT marketplace, because security, our community security, your money is important to us. And first and foremost, we wanted to make sure that, one, the security of your wallet when you connect to Mint was assured, and that the funds containing in the wallet was on lockdown, right? Because you've seen mint after mint after mint, project after project. That's all you're hearing about. This one got ripped off for that amount. On OpenSea, it's a plethora for whatever you could get in. We wanted to make sure we had a closed system, locked down tight, where there will be zero issues with, one, ownership of our NFT contract, and two, ownership of the wallet that contains the funds from the mint, right? So all of these things were considered in a very cohesive manner, that when we deliver this project at this stage, what you're actually seeing now is what we're ready to put forward, but have been worked on in the background, right? With the passive income, just in the referral program alone, now think about it. There are lots of people that are in this space. There are more and more people coming into this space to earn a living, not to invest and become rich overnight, to earn a living. There are employment opportunities that are opening up in this space, that you may not see necessarily in terms of new investor, because everybody's kind of panicked, fear of the market, but then not looking at the big picture. There are masses of people that quit their job in real life in the United States alone. Where do you think those people went? Because they still have bills to pay. We're hitting a recession, right? Cost of food is going up. Gas is expensive. Did you think that these people are just going to sit back and go, oh, well, I'll just wait for somebody else to take care of me? They have to seek income elsewhere. More and more people are driven to affiliate marketing, because the cost of marketing to the world has gotten to the point of the numbers are just outrageous. So why would I pay a Telegram or a Discord $15,000 for one appearance when I can pay my community for just referring a friend to Mint, for bringing people into the Discord, for inviting people to take a look at my project, for driving traffic through their own social media accounts to my website? There are lots of ways that we took a look at and structured it in a way at every step of the way. Anything that carries the SeeME branding, any part of it that pushes you to the Neuro Collective website, there is structure for you to earn passive income every step of the way.
And we have not wasted money. And when you were talking about the security of our marketplace, I was also thinking one of the things that we talked about. One of the reasons why security is so important to us, because we've seen this happen to other projects, is because so much of what is going to be left in that wallet is going to be reinvested into our long-term projects. So, we're all about utility, right? And so we need to make sure that we can continue those projects into the future, right? So security is critically important. My husband is a network, his background is in network security. So, and I teach a privacy course. So, you know, it's something that's serious for us. So, is there anything else that we missed? What about the art? Were we supposed to reveal who wins, or was that already the art contest?
We're
That was
working. We actually have to have that discussion. I hate to hold that from everyone, but we are going to announce some things. Um, there were all the art. I just want to say all the artwork was amazing. So if you didn't win that competition, it wasn't because your artwork wasn't great. It was because I guess there was a couple key requirements that you had to do: tagging, SeeME, etc., etc. But we do have to announce a couple other winners that we've decided to announce. But we just have to speak as a team off record, and then we will announce that.
Okay, and did I hear that there's going to be we're going to run the contest again? Is that true?
Yep.
Okay, so if you
That's
didn't,
what I saw, because here was the stipulations were on this one that when they put it on Twitter and tagged SeeME official, they had to tell about mental health. They had to talk about how you can help with mental health. So there was definitely some great art that was contributed, but not all of the categories were adhered to, and that's the reason why the ones that were picked, they adhered to all of the categories for it. But I loved all of the contributions, so we thought that, hey, you know what? We'll get together after the CMA, and we're gonna pick a couple just based on the art alone. And it got such a great response. I figured we could run it again for another week.
excellent. So if somehow you were disqualified because some of the rules or requirements, you've already finished it, resubmit it when we run it again, and we'd be happy to have it. So I think with that, we can call it a night. I would love to remind you that if you see me in the general room late at night, you're welcome to just jump in and watch whatever educational video I might have in there. I also, plan eventually, like
I saw
after
what you
May.
did there, though. You said, "If you see me."
Oh,
Quick shout out, money.
Cole's, huh?
Quick shout out to money. Money.
Yes,
Hijab Queens are having a mental Twitter space. Please, can you join on mental
right
health
now.
Twitter space right now? Right now, Hijab Queens, please. I need to
Excellent. Can you
get
post it in
them.
the? Can you post a link in the
It's
general?
it's actually in my yeah. I'll copy the link and post it in January. Easy.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, so I guess that means that's our cue to go and support Hijabi Queens. Check out the general. We'll see you there, and thank you for learning a little bit about me and a little bit more about the project. Take care, everyone.
Great work. Love it.
Amazing.